Welcome to Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States. This city is known for its world-class attractions, landmarks, and museums. But with the world-class stuff comes the underrated stuff. So today I'm taking you to the 3 most underrated places you need to check out. Let's go! Let's head to the first underrated spot in D.C. I'm going to somewhere a little less known in DC, and that's the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. And it's known for being the governmental agency that produces money. So it's going to be a really cool tour. It takes around 25 to 30 minutes to do the whole tour, but they're going to talk about how money is made and what the Bureau of Engraving and Printing is. So let's go. Welcome to the moneymaker of America, the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. Here, billions of dollars of notes are printed each year. The Bureau of Engraving and Printing is a great place to check out, and it gives you an insight into the money in your pocket. While no filming is allowed on the tour, it is allowed in the gift shop. So this is definitely a place to check out. Welcome to our second place, the African American Museum of History and Culture. This is the newest museum in the Smithsonian Network, opening its doors in 2016. This museum is a must-see in DC and a place you definitely should plan in your trip to check out.
So back in the 1400s, most of the nations that would dominate the slave trade did not even exist yet, and the slave trade was actually an important part of the development and wealth of each of those nations, and 4 nations invested the most heavily in the forced migration of 12.5 million African people, and these nations included Portugal, which transported 31% of enslaved people, the Netherlands, which transported 6%, England, which did 40%, and France, which did 18%.
In the lower levels of the museum, you'll find information about the beginning of the slave trade to the abolition.
So there was also slavery here in DC, and it was an active center of the slave trade, and the seat of the democracy was located deep within the slaveholding territory, and slavery was an everyday part of the functioning national government. This document is the abolishing of the international slave trade, which limited slavery here in the U.S.
This is what the U.S. looked like in 1850. You can see there's this part of it, and there's also the unorganized territory. There's the Oregon Territory, California, the New Mexico Territory, the Utah Territory, and then there's also this part of the country. And there's also the Minnesota Territory up there. This is the presidential inauguration of Obama.
Now we are going to make our way to the upper levels of the museum. This part of the museum is more focused on modern things in African American history. There are exhibits on musicians, people who served in the military, athletes, and more. The museum is such a great place to check out in DC, and one that I highly recommend you check out because you'll have a great time here learning about African American history and culture. Now we're going to head to our next location. Our last stop is Gravely Point. Gravely Point is located right next to Washington National Airport. The planes pass over your head at about 100 feet as they're coming in to land. It feels like you could reach up and touch the airplanes as they're flying right above you. This is a great spot to check out.
So, Gravely Point is famous for being the point where the aircraft turn for their final approach for runway 19 back there. So as they're about to come over Gravely Point, they make that right-hand turn and they line up with the runway, but it's insane just to see the airplanes that low above your head.
If you're wondering why in the world the airplanes have to do this approach, that's because there's a flying ban over DC, unless you're above 18,000 feet. So any civilian traffic below 18,000 feet cannot fly over DC, but if you're above it, you're able to fly over DC airspace. After 9/11, that rule became a thing, and now the airplanes have to follow the Potomac on final approach. And actually, here comes one right now. There it is. there's a jet landing on runway 19. It's an insane approach, and they also have to do this during the departure too, where they have to follow the river until they're out of the way of DC airspace. Then they can fly wherever. If you're into aviation and you want a plane spot, or you just want to have a park to sit at and you don't mind watching and listening to the airplanes, come check out Gravely Point. It's awesome here.
With that, those are 3 underrated places in DC that are worth visiting. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below what you thought. And now that you have seen the underrated stuff, now it's time for you to check out the most popular stuff. So check out that video on the screen.